Have you ever heard about a playwright described as strange, a delinquent, or a trickster? Well, that's exactly how Vladimiro Navarro is presented as the starting point of La Nueva Obra, the latest production by Teatro La María. This production is created by Teatro La María, a company founded in 1999 by Alexis Moreno and Alexandra von Hamel, and known for its strong presence in contemporary Chilean theater. And the cast includes Alexandra von Hamel, Alexis Moreno, Rodrigo Soto, Tamara Acosta, Ana Laura Rax, and Manuel Peña. The lighting design is by Alfredo Basaure, and the producer is Ana Laura Rax, that also is part of the cast. La Nueva Obra is about a story of a group of actors who end up in debt with a storage facility where they kept all of their production materials. And they mix their story with the story of Vladimiro Navarro. And La Nueva Obra makes different elements such as absurd fiction, social criticism, and dark humor to talk about the precariousness of art, to the urgency of survive, and love as a force of resistance. And at the same time, they tell the story of Vladimiro Navarro, as I told you before, a very old Mexican playwright who constantly pretends to have different identities, and it used to be a delinquent and many other roles. And this creates a mysterious and chaotic figure that the company brings back to life, and is used to tell the story also of these guys that were in debt with the storage facility, to make the audience reflect about this theme in particular, about it is necessary to do things to save your job or the things you love. One of the aspects of the play that impressed me the most was the lighting. I feel it was used perfectly in the stage because first they used many different types of lights, like coming from the sides or from the back at the floor level, which created strong contrast and gave life to the scenes and the characters. And they also used different colors to give meaning to what was happening and to express mood and emotions on the environment. For example, they use warmer or cooler tones to highlight the character depending on the atmosphere. And when the scenes were more specific, they started playing with colors like red and orange to create more energetic or comedy moments, and they used to put them at the top of the stage and give like more color to the scenography. So that's why I think they use the lighting perfectly, and they in all moments know how to use the lights to give a perfect atmosphere to the scenes and to really express what they want to show on stage. Also, I really appreciate they don't only use cooler and warmer colors, they also include real colors like orange and red to contrast the feeling on the environment, and also to give a real context in what they wear. This also makes a lot of Mexican culture, so that colors make sense with the clothing of them and the environment that it's giving the Mexican culture in a way. Finally, one thing I really want to highlight is also that they use scenography to create or suggest objects that were not really there. For example, at one point in the play, they use a strong white light from the back corner of the stage to make it look like there was a track, but there was not really a track. It was only the light focusing really bright, and this helps us understand that we don't really need always physical scenography. We can also use lighting with creativity to build a strong and effective stage design. Second aspect I want to talk about is the scenography, and I'm completely sure it was simple but still very effective. The only elements they used on stage were a couple of chairs that they don't even move, a table, a ladder, and a big wooden box with the word fragile written in red. And even though this seems like very little, it was extremely what they needed to build the play and create all these different scenes. And what really impressed me is how they managed to make these few objects feel meaningful in every moment. They didn't need a full detailed set to tell the story. Instead, they used their chairs, the ladder, and the box in creative ways, giving each object different purposes and depending on the scene. For example, the same ladder could represent a completely different place or situation just by changing his position or how the actors interact with it. And I think this shows that good scenography doesn't always depend on having many things on stage. That really matters is how the objects are used and how they help shape the space and support the story. In this play, the minimal set worked perfectly because they knew how to make every object count. The last aspect I want to focus on is the theatrical proposal and the overall meaning of the play. I think it was an excellent idea to put on stage a problem that has existed throughout history, and I found it very powerful that they connected with theater and with things people have to do in order to survive. They managed to present his idea perfectly by comparing two different stories on set in the present involving the actors themselves, and another from many years ago about Vladimiro Navarro. This contrast works really well to show that this is an issue people still face nowadays, and it's not something that happens in Chile and Mexico. It is a global problem that affects people everywhere. And in different scenes, they showed situations where people must do certain things to survive or to protect their jobs. For example, both stories deal with robbing a bank, but each one takes place in a completely different time period, which makes the message even stronger and easier to understand. Overall, the play delivered a powerful and engaging experience by combining strong lighting designs, effective minimal scenography, and a meaningful theatrical proposal. The lighting stood out for its creativity and emotional impact, helping shape each scene and even creating objects that were not physically presented. The scenography, although simple, proved that a few well-chosen elements can support a story just as well as a complex set, as long as they are used thoughtfully and with purpose. And finally, the play message felt especially meaningful thanks to the comparison between two stories from different time periods, showing that the struggles people face to survive and protect the work are universal and continue to exist today. So after considering all these elements, my final verdict is that I totally recommend watching this play. It is creative, impactful, and managed to deliver an important message in a simple but very effective way.